Okay, we're back. I wonder if I'll do two videos. Like, I wonder if I'll just do two separate videos, which is usually, find a channel that you like and they've made a video that you really enjoy, but you look and they only have 3 videos. So you watch the other 2 and then you wait and maybe you forget about the channel that you liked so much. So by that nature, maybe we'll start with a whole bunch of separate videos. And so anyway, this is my Reminders of You video because I just went and saw the movie Reminders of You. Fun double feature. I just want to also mention that I did a double feature today in just under 5 hours. I went and saw Project Hail Mary, which I loved. I thought it was fantastic. It made my heart sing. And then I followed that up with a chaser of Reminders of Him. And there's a lot of different layers to my experience. But one thing for sure is that I am queer. So the Colleen Hoover romance genre, as a queer black person, the Colleen Hoover movies, like the whole genre, obviously it's not necessarily made for me. Clearly, obviously, it's not made with my experience in mind. So let's start from there. It's just that it's not made for me as an audience, but I do think that the audience that it is for is going to love it. I think, it's already been out for a week. I'm a week behind on this review, but I think that between, obviously teenage girls, they're just going to love a love story either way. On top of that, Tyreek Withers is in it. And that is but we're not going to get into like race science stuff. I'm not going to use words that are considered slurs talking about one drop rule stuff or whatnot. Probably the whitest that a black man can look. You can look at him and definitely tell that he is not just a white man, like fully Irish or Italian. You can tell that he's not fully European. However, you also don't look at him and just see a black man. I feel bad because, obviously I'm not necessarily interested in the romance of it all. So I spent a lot of the time just looking at his face, trying to figure out how someone can look like that, if that makes sense. I know it's weird to think about, and it's weird for me to spend so much time talking about it, but we'll just get right into it. In the movie, Tyreek Withers plays a former football player. He's like a former NFL player. And spoilers, that's not really spoilers. Like, if you are familiar with the premise of the story, here we go. We'll start from the top. Let's just start from the top. Minor spoilers included. This is just going to be a basic overview of the story. So in this movie, the main girl, whose name is genuinely slipping my brain right now, is getting out of jail. After however many years, they said she got 7 years, but the child that she had while she was in there cannot be older than 6. I want to say the child says in the movie that she's 6 years old. So she did not serve her full term. No one does, not to be whatever, but people genuinely usually do not serve 100% of their term in prison. But she's getting out of jail. She has a daughter. She gave birth to this daughter while she was still in jail because she got convicted of a manslaughter charge for killing the baby's father because they were driving together and she was intoxicated and they got into a car accident and he died. Basically, part of the story, the thing that I was about to say that is spoilers. One of the spoilers is that Tyreek Withers' character is this man's childhood best friend, right? They're best friends their entire lives. He feels like his parent, the dead man's parents basically raised him. On the day that they got into the accident, mind you, it's the dead man's birthday when they get into this accident because he's out with his girlfriend. Tyreek Withers' character was supposed to come home from the NFL to spend his birthday with him, and since he's not home, they decide to go out with just him and this girl. They take a weed gummy and then hit a rock on a gravel road. I cannot stress to you enough, this man died because she fucking hit a rock on a gravel road. The car flipped 3 times, crushed his arm, took his pulse off the arm that was crushed so it didn't have a pulse, didn't know he was still alive, walked away from the accident begging anyone to stop, pull over. Like, can't imagine seeing a woman disoriented and like a few 100 feet back, I know there's a smashed up car, thinking, she'll be fine. But anyway, she makes it basically all the way back to her apartment and then collapses because she has a concussion. And when she wakes up, the man is dead and they're arresting her. And they're like, do you have any other illegal substances? Because it's Wyoming, mind you. It's Wyoming, so weed is illegal. So I'm not sure how he got this gummy, but their way. She pleads guilty, gets to 7 years. And during that time, you know, she finds out, oh my goodness, I was pregnant with this man's baby. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have this baby. And the man's parents take the baby away. And so she's come back to this town to try and not necessarily try and regain custody of her daughter, but just to see her daughter, just to, you know, maybe have some kind of relationship with her, even if it's not as her primary caretaker, because the grandparents kind of have that down. But this child is about 6 years old. She's getting to that age where she starts asking, what's up with my mom? I know that these people are my grandparents. Like, I know that they always talk about my dad being their sons, but like, what about my mom? And no one is really giving her straight answers, you know, as you do. Ah, damn, somebody is parked in my spot. But yeah, oh, LOL, the person that's parked in my spot is my mother-in-law. Yeah, so it was a fine movie. Probably have to cut this short. I'll probably have to come back later. It was like made fine. I don't really have complaints about the quality of the movie. Just genuinely, I just feel like there's a lot of moments where I was like, oh, no one in this movie is acting like a normal human being. Even just her wandering away from the crash. Okay, they had smartphones. Where is your smartphone? And you know, I'll hand it to this girl that like she was probably concussed and disoriented, which is why she didn't call the police. You would think that her lawyer would probably have argued that. You would think that her lawyer would say that there was no malicious intent. Clearly, she was in love with this man. They're talking about, oh, you seemed so remorseless at the trial. Bro, you can be emotionless because internally you realize that your entire life is now completely different from what you thought it was going to be a couple months ago before you got into a devastating car accident that killed the person you love. And you can also be like, I feel terrible. I loved this person. We were enjoying their birthday together. It's weird that his parents act like she was malicious. His parents genuinely were like acting like she was a psychopath or something, like she had a drinking problem or issues that they needed to keep their granddaughter away from her for, when genuinely, truly, really, he pressured her into eating the gummy. He was driving because it was his birthday, and mind you, like, the gummy really didn't have anything to do with the fact that there was a giant rock in the road that flipped their fucking car. Listen, let me see, what else do I have written down? Technically, it is a new day, but I am doing an old review. I didn't get to share my full thoughts last time, and then I'm pretty sure I accidentally deleted that video anyway. So, while I was trying to start this video, everything that could go wrong with your car home video did decide to go wrong for me today. So I have this privacy screen protector that you can probably see already, like makes my face blurry. Well, the camera hole that it gave me, it doesn't actually line up with the camera on my phone. So the picture was blurry and I'm like, oh, I can't record like this. So I just had to yank this privacy screen off of my phone just now, but I could use this. On top of the fact that I was gonna make this video yesterday. I had a bunch of driving errands to run yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'll make this video while I'm doing that, and I'll have 30 minutes, plenty of time. But I ended up just, turning on music, and I wanted to listen to the music. I'm gonna do this little tangent, and then I promise I'll get back to my review of Reminders of Him. I brought my headphones with me yesterday. Again, didn't end up recording anything. And I, misplaced my headphones when I got in the house yesterday. I got in the house, put my headphones down, don't know where I put them. I have another pair of headphones for this exact same reason. Don't know where those are either. So I am once again recording without headphones today. It's gonna be a lot of car sounds, but hopefully you're on this channel because you like that. Hopefully the sound of me driving my stick shift is fun for you or whatever. Reminders of Him. Okay, the light just turned green. I'm gonna need you to calm down. That person was not honking at me because they were next to me, but still. I meant to be talking less about the driving stuff. It's like, how do I say this? That was the basic premise, is her trying to get back to this town so she can be in this girl's life. And of course, along the way, she falls in love with Tariq Withers, who is basically the child's father figure already anyway. It's the perfect formula for a family, except that child kind of already has parents, like her grandparents kind of already are her parents. So, of course, there's a lot of conflict with the grandparents not wanting her around. Like, the grandparents, they didn't like this girl even before she killed their son, and then she was the one driving when their son died. So, they think that she's, like, they think she's, like, despicable. That's the worst part. It's okay to not like somebody, have the complex feelings of feeling like they are to blame for the accident that took your child's life, feeling like there was so much potential, there's so much life that your kid had left to live, and this person is responsible for robbing them of it. And how you can, it's not a thing that you can really forgive. I don't know. I've never been in that situation, but it's something that obviously it would be difficult to try to forgive this person. And especially out of this tragedy, there is beauty. There was a child. People have a grandchild that they have full custody of, all rights to. So not to say that they get a second chance, but they, their son lives on through this child. So they're of course very protective of her. She has this, the child is a girl. Dina. It's like Dean or something. It's weird. It's the movie. It's like, I don't want to say that it's bad, because it's not bad. Like, from a technical standpoint, it is fine. It is perfectly well made. There was take a note. Damn, I forgot to bring my notepad. I did take a note while I was in the movie. There was this weird cut. It's the meet cute. They're in the bar that this man owns, and she's meeting him for the first time. There was a weird cut during their meet cute. They are in medium close-ups, and then randomly, kind of for no reason, it cuts into like a super close-up of Tariq, and then back to the mediums. And I wonder if I'd be able to find this slip anywhere, but it's weird. I noticed that, but for the most part, the technical stuff is all fine. It's not bad. It's just fine. It looks like a digital movie, and she's meeting him for the first time because mind you, like, these guys were best friends, but because obviously the one was in the NFL, he wasn't exactly around a lot. So she knows, when she's talking to this man in this bar, she knows that this is the man that she killed, like her former boyfriend's best friend. He doesn't know who she is, because not only did he never meet her when they were dating, he also didn't show up to the trial either, I guess. So he's never seen her before, so he doesn't recognize her when she walks in, even though he's on television. He's a football player, so she's probably seen him before. But he's, of course, intrigued by her. Who is this mysterious white girl, dripping from the rain? They go through this little dance at first because he doesn't know who she is. But over time, something happens and he figures it right. She tries to go visit. Seriously, Tesla? She tries to go visit her daughter. Oh, Texas, please. And he sees her outside, and that's when he puts together who that is. And he's like, get out of here, you have to leave, like, you cannot be here. Of course, this child is about 6 years old, so she's right at the age where she's starting to realize that her family dynamic, those are people who raise her, are her grandparents, and that they talk about the fact that her dad was their son, but she's starting to get to that age where she's now asking, like, where's my mom? Like, what do you mean? I guess she knows her dad is dead, I suppose. The problem, or like the thing that I thought about that made me want to come back and say more, is the fact that I grew up heavy on Nicholas Sparks books and Nicholas Sparks books movies. So obviously, like, The Notebook, I think I was like 3 when The Notebook came out. After that, there are a lot of different movies that were adapted from Nicholas Sparks. So after The Notebook, we get like The Vow, we get The Lucky One with Zac Efron, we get Dear John, Channing Tatum and Amanda Seyfried. And maybe it was just because I was in the middle of puberty. Maybe he really does just have the sauce that Colleen just doesn't have. But there is something, clearly the Colleen Hoover book to movie adaptation is following in the footsteps of what Nicholas Sparks did first. Nicholas Sparks just simply existed before we started getting Colleen Hoover books. We had plenty of Nicholas Sparks books. There's still a wealth of them that haven't been made into movies. Isn't A Walk to Remember, I think, is also a Nicholas Sparks book. Anyway, a nice romantic tearjerker, usually about young love of some kind. There's a villain, there's a hero. Oh, there's that one Julianne Hough. There's one with Julianne Hough where she has to run away to escape an abuse man. Anyway, all of this is irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is that this movie was fine. This is the first Colleen Hoover book movie I've ever seen. While it was fine, it just is lacking something that the Nicholas Sparks books had. The Nicholas Sparks movie books are just, they have a certain quality to them. There's a chemistry between the actors. First of all, I think that Tariq Withers has great screen presence. I think that our lead actress was fine. She did what needed to be done. I don't think that there was anything that she could have done differently that would have made it any better. I just think that they just didn't have the best chemistry, and I think that the direction, like her motivation, the romance is like really secondary to her goal of being in her child's life. And if anything, the romance is kind of complicating her ability to be in the child's life. Yes, on one hand, having this man in her corner who obviously has been a part of this child's life for the entire time is good, because he's able to appeal to the grandparents and say, like, hey, she's not all bad. She's not, completely evil. You should give her a chance. At the same time, almost have to wonder if getting romantically involved with him is a part of a plan to get closer to her child. They never play it like that, which is fine. They didn't need to play it like that. There is at least the opportunity, right? And of course, that's what the grandparents are thinking. The grandfather, especially when he finds out that this young man is like romantically involved with her, it's shocking and all of this stuff to him. And you could see maybe how they might follow that track, how they might follow that thread. But they never really go into that, which I think would have been a lot of fun. It would have been kind of interesting. Not that it needed to. I just think that the story kind of lacks the romantic layering. Everything in the Nicholas Sparks book is, the goal is about being with this other person, about having this grand love. I think that this movie lacked that, where romance is kind of secondary. Our main character, she's here to be a mother to her child. And if she falls in love with this hot guy along the way, well, like, so be it, I suppose. If it must be, then it must be. But I think that kind of shows in the strength of the romance. That the romance is secondary, but they really don't get into it. That's the real issue, is that we could get deeper in and really indulge in this romance, but we're not. Like I said, I don't know if that is because I was going through puberty during kind of the height of the Nicholas Sparks craze. I remember, being in 7th grade, checking out the book. Some of the books that, again, have never been adapted into movies, I've still read them and I know these stories because the romance of it was just so sweeping, and it gave me the same feeling that I got from reading the Twilight books. So invested in these two people being together, whereas I feel like we're not super invested in these two people being together. Our main guy, he has some complex feelings about it, but I think that our main girl, her feelings are much less complex. I think that that's the area where it ends up being like just a 3-star for me, because the romance just doesn't sweep me up. I'm just not, they just didn't have me. And the movie itself, maybe I will try and find the other clips that I have of myself. Oh, if I had known I was pregnant, I didn't think I had anything else to live for. That's why I pled guilty. I would have fought for her. This is good dramatic stuff. This is great drama. It just has nothing to do with the romance. I think it has fuck all to do with the romance between her and Tariq. Would be one thing if we saw more of his complex feelings about, this was his best friend, this girl, we don't really know her, we don't know her motivations, we don't know, but she's responsible for him dying, like, this is my best friend. But again, he was in love with her, he loved her. and they got into an accident, you know, so he would have forgiven her. This is the kind of thing that he would have forgiven her for, as opposed to everybody else in his life being like, this is a vapid, evil succubus who only means you harm. That's kind of the thing for me, that this is a situation for sure. I guess it complicates the romance, but it kind of doesn't complicate the romance. We also don't get a lot of good motivation for the romance. He just thinks she's cute, and she has a backstory, and that's it. They just think that they're each cute. They don't really have anything. He's a little bit snippy with him about the bar that he owns used to be a coffee shop and bookstore or something. She was like used to that being there, and now suddenly it's a bar, and she's like asking for fancy coffee, you know, Italian coffee house coffee, and he's like, this is drip coffee with whipped cream. You know, so that's their little meet cute or whatever. But generally, there's not even like that much that shows why he fell in love with her either, or why Scott fell in love with her either in the first place. She's like a generic self-insert character. She's a generic self-insert character for the girls, the teenage girls and young women of the world, to say, I have made mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I'm lovable. I deserve a second chance. I deserve a second chance at love. Even though I have this kid. Very much single mom core, young single mother, damn near teen mom romance core, which I'm not. They deserve romance too. They deserve movies for them too. I'm not knocking that at all. Don't get me wrong. It just wasn't for me. That being said, again, it was fine. It was subpar. When we have something as incredible as The Notebook, and then again, we followed A Walk to Remember, The Notebook, The Vow, Dear John. All of these aren't perfect. They're not all golden, but they are Safe Haven, The Lucky One. These are all came from this one guy. Drive home the importance of that romance and like that love, and just that I have to get back to you no matter what. Nothing is going to stand in my way. Romance, that strong feeling of love. Anyway, I'm late to my next screening. I'm doing another double feature today. I'm doing Hoppers first, which is starting 7 minutes ago. And I'm going to go see Undertone, and pray for me because I'm the only person who bought a ticket to this screening of Undertone, so I'm going to be in there by myself. I have to be very brave. Pray for me again. I'm going to come out and I'm going to tell you guys what it feels like on the other end. But until next time, I'll see you then. We'll talk about this later. That was my review of Reminders of Him. It was fine. See it if you want, I guess. That's a streamer for me, for sure. But it looks, it was fun on the screen. Anyway, see you next time. We're going to talk about Hoppers and Undertone. Bye. Oh yeah, go ahead, run that light. The police. Well, now everybody knows where I go to see my movies.